She was already waiting when I pulled into the drive, hands on her hips like she owned the block. "That Porsche doesn't belong here," she barked. Same voice, same delusion of power. I'd just come off a 14-hour shift with the U.S. Marshals, still wearing my gray field jacket. Badge hidden, patience thinner than air. I said nothing. Just looked at her, wondering how far she'd push. Before we move forward, comment down from where you're watching right now. Because what happened next turned a neighborhood squabble into a federal arrest. An hour later, red and blue lights flickered across my blinds. Black SUV, no markings. 2 men in cheap tactical gear, badges gleaming plastic under the porch light. And behind them? HOA Karen, grinning like she'd summoned justice itself. "That's him!" she screamed. "He's trespassing and that car's stolen!" The taller one stepped forward. "Sir, step outside." I opened the door slowly, voice calm. "Sure. Mind showing me your badges first?" They hesitated. Half a second. Long enough. Fake metal? Fake authority? Karen didn't see it. She was too busy snapping photos of my Porsche, already calculating her next violation. "Ma'am," I said quietly. "You sure you want to go through with this?" She laughed. "We've got the police here. Your little act is over." I stepped close enough for her perfume to mix with panic. "Good," I whispered, "because I'd love to hear how you explain this to a real U.S. Marshal." Their faces changed first, fear catching before logic could. I pulled out my badge. The weight of it killed every sound around us. You're joking," she stammered. "Not even a little," I said. "Now tell me why you brought fake officers onto federal property." She tried to recover, shrieking for the neighbors, calling me an imposter. The 2 phonies started backing toward their SUV. "Stay right there," I ordered, voice cutting through the dark. They froze. Training took over, stance solid, tone final. I watched Karen spiral, ranting about fines, enforcement, everything she thought gave her power. Then real patrol lights rounded the corner. She smirked. "Now you're done." The officer stepped out, hand on belt. "What's going on?" she shouted first. "He's impersonating a marshal." I handed over my credentials. He looked, then looked again. "Ma'am," he said, "this badge is real." The street went silent. The fake cops ran. One dove into the SUV, screeching away while the officer yelled after them. Karen's face collapsed. "I didn't know. They told me—" "Save it," I said. "You paid them, didn't you?" Her silence was confession. The officer called backup, but I already knew how this would end. See, I'd been investigating a ring of law enforcement impersonators for months. Tonight, she'd walked straight into my case file. "Funny thing about justice," I told her. "It shows up exactly when arrogance does." By morning, the neighborhood looked normal again, but beneath that calm, her empire was cracking. I'd spent the night reviewing footage, matching the SUV's plates. It traced to a repo yard tied to a fraud network. And the payment authorization, signed by Karen Whitmore. At noon, I parked across from her house. She was watering roses, pretending the world hadn't shifted. I hit record. She saw me, stormed over. "You're still here. I told the HOA about you. You'll be evicted." I rolled my window down slowly. "Karen, you ever hear yourself talk?" She smirked. "I run this neighborhood. People listen to me. Your badge doesn't scare me." I leaned closer. "You're right about one thing. People are watching you." Her phone buzzed. Headline notification lit her screen. "Local HOA president under federal investigation for hiring fake cops." The blood drained from her face. You can't prove—" "Oh, I can," I said. "Those street cameras you bragged about, they caught everything." Curtains shifted. Neighbors filmed. The same audience she once commanded now documenting her fall. She looked small, cornered, whispering, "You think this is over?" I walked past her. "No, it's accountability." 2 dawns later, black sedans rolled in without sirens. Marshals. My people. She opened the door in a robe, confusion turning to terror as the lead agent spoke. "Karen Whitmore, you're under arrest for conspiracy, fraud, and impersonating law enforcement." She screamed, swore it was a mistake. Cuffs answered louder. Neighbors watched through windows, phones raised. She saw me by the gate and shouted, "You set me up." I shook my head. "No, Karen, you set yourself up." They took her away while her roses dripped onto the pavement, petals floating like surrender flags. That evening, I parked my Porsche exactly where she'd said I couldn't. The sun dipped low, engine ticking in the silence. I looked down the quiet street and thought of every line she'd crossed, every rule she'd twisted. I fought for this country. I won't let anyone steal what's mine. Justice doesn't yell, it stands. And on this street, authority isn't granted, it's earned, enforced, and permanent.